Good morning and welcome to Bank Holiday Monday here in Ireland, if you're watching in Ireland. And here in Kerry, it's a pretty wild, wet, autumnal day, and a day for me that is about just reveling in being inside and being comfortable and being warm and lighting a fire and getting on with a few little jobs that I've been meaning to do for a long time. So I hope whatever you choose this Bank Holiday Monday that you will be enjoying yourself. And today I wanted to talk about one of our big consumer habits and our habits in general. And I've chosen our use of single-use plastics as a vehicle to do that. And you might think, what on earth is she doing talking about that? How does that fit in with, what I usually talk about, what I work with, and also more importantly, how does that resonate with you? Well, it works on a number of levels, so you just bear with me. And I'm more than aware that last week's news of our current 6-week lockdown, second lockdown here in Ireland, it did actually bring up a whole raft of emotions, certainly for me, and I think for most people. And it took me a few days last week to draw upon all my tools to be able to process what that meant for me and be okay with it. And I am okay with it at the moment. And that's good enough. So if you're watching live, you're very, very welcome. Do say hello. Make your presence known. It's lovely to know that somebody's there listening. And if you're watching the replay, then you're equally welcome. And do put any comments that you have in the comment boxes below. So, okay, today is part of my Monday Messages series where I pop in and just kind of give you a thought or a theme or a focus for the week. So, as I said, this week, I am inviting you to focus on your use of single-use plastics. And the reason I'm doing that is multiple, actually. Firstly, because it's a good thing to do. It's a good thing in terms of the planet, our environment, our animals, nature, however you want to phrase it. It's a positive thing to do. And I don't know that there would be many people left who are going to be championing the use of plastic indiscriminately. Actually today I'm not talking about plastic per se. I'm actually talking very deliberately about single-use plastics, because obviously, like most things, actually, they're not all good or all bad. There are a few exceptions, but in the case of plastic, one of its uses is that it's completely indestructible. There are plastics that are made to basically never break down. And when that's used appropriately, obviously it can be life-saving, it can be fantastic. But when that same fabric is used for things that we just throw away, then that's when it becomes an issue. So that's what I'm asking you to focus on this week. And I can see there's several people watching with me, so you're very welcome. Do let me know who you are. That would be great. And if you've got any comments, do pop them in. So single-use plastics. I think we all kind of know that they're not a good thing, but we're often just kind of in the habit of using them indiscriminately. We're not thinking about it at all. Maybe at best we think because we're taking them to the recycling depot or putting them in the recycling bin that we're doing our bit. But once you start to actually investigate single-use plastics and how damaging they are, and how actually the recycling process is actually not recycling, it's very euphemistically named, it actually becomes, or it did become for me, very disturbing to think that I was unconsciously contributing to that level of waste and damage across the globe. And I wanted to feel that I was doing absolutely my best to ensure that I was contributing to that as little as possible. And what happened after I started to do that was it changed lots of other habits that I was in. It changed my shopping habits, for example. So I wanted to make conscious choices on the shelves between glass packaging or metal packaging perhaps, or even plastic packaging that I could reuse. So I would always go for those over something that I knew I was just going to throw away and that I didn't have another use for. So that meant that actually, rather than doing my entire shop in a supermarket, I had to choose, if I wanted to follow that thread, I had to choose to do my shops largely at local businesses, local one-off businesses. So already, by looking at my use of single-use plastics, I've changed my consumer habits so that I'm supporting local businesses more. And now more than ever, if you can do that, that is a really good choice to be making. And sometimes, yes, it does cost you a little bit more, but ultimately it's going to cost you less in terms of your peace of mind. If you have a very strong value that is based around being environmentally friendly and, not wasting things, and teaching your children how to be responsible environmentally too, because it's their world we're going to be creating. That all of those things together will mean that you're making better choices to support local businesses, to reduce your waste in the plastic arena. And also, what a lot of people don't realise is that it has a very detrimental effect on our physical health as well as our mental health, because plastics emit all sorts of hormone disrupting chemicals, and the longer they are in contact with things like food and drink, the more likelihood there is of those chemicals leaching into the products that are within the plastic, particularly if that plastic gets heated in any way. So obviously things like plastic water bottles, really not a good idea. And actually, while we're on that subject, plastic water bottles are probably a great place to start when you're looking at how can I do things differently. Just backtracking a bit, with this whole lockdown situation, again, I think what it means for most of us is that we have the opportunity, if we want to take it, to have a good look at daily habits, whatever they might be, and work out, well, are they working for me or aren't they working for me? Is there any other way I could do this that would actually give me a better result or would actually make me feel better? So I'm not dismissing the effects generally of this lockdown situation. I know it's huge for an awful lot of people. But what I'm trying to offer you is that in that situation, there are also opportunities. And this could be one of them, is to just turn your gaze to, well, how am I doing things every day? Am I happy with what I'm doing? Could I do them better? And with single-use plastics, which is a bit of a bit of a soapbox thing for me, it does lead inevitably onto all sorts of other habits being changed. And my theme anyway recently has been to be more conscious of what we're doing. And immediately we actually pull something into our conscious mind rather than it being in our subconscious mind, then we start to notice it. We start to see it properly for what it is. And then we can work out, well, shall I carry on doing it like this? Does it work for me? Or maybe does it work for the wider world? Is it, does it sit well with my values? Does it make me feel good to go through this behaviour on a daily basis, or not? So I think we can all agree that single-use plastics are not good in the wider sense of the word. They're not good for our animals. They're not good for the wildlife, for our oceans, all of that. We've all seen the pictures, I'm sure, of those oceans, islands sitting on our oceans of plastic waste just floating around the Indian Ocean. We've all seen the pictures of wildlife caught in bits of plastic. So I think most people know that it's a good thing to do generally. So the kind of reason why you'd be looking at it is kind of there already once we become conscious of it. The good thing is that once we do start acting on it, it actually, as well as changing things like shopping habits, it changes inevitably what you're spending as well. Sometimes it can mean a little bit more, yeah. Sometimes less, because when you're cutting out the packaging, so for example, because I'm choosing glass containers over plastic, I now can take those glass containers to the ever-growing number of health food stores and shops locally to me that I can then just refill that jar with whatever product I'm looking for. You can do it with cleaning products as well. And actually, on that score, you can actually reuse the more durable plastic packaging. So what I'd love you to do this week is to take a really good look at how much plastic you use just once and then throw away, and see, do I really have to do it like that, or could I make better choices? Could you, if you haven't already, could you get your reusable takeaway coffee cup? I mean, takeaway coffee is not huge at the moment, but I think that's the only way to get coffee if you're out and about now. So why not have your own mug? I know lots of people have done that already. Same thing with water bottles. And that actually, for me, a long time ago now, led us on to not only having your own water bottle as an adult, but having everybody in the family having their own water bottle, and perhaps investing in a water filter system for your house, or just for the kitchen tap even. It's something that I've got here, and it means that I never have to buy water. So that whole use of plastic is gone from our household. You might not be able to do that much, but I'm willing to bet that there is something you could do that would reduce your plastic waste. So I'm just asking you to have a go and see what you could do. And also, I would love you to share any tips you might have for doing that. Doesn't matter how small it is. If there's anything you thought, oh my God, yes, I can use this instead, or I can use that bit of plastic for this instead, I'd be really grateful for that, and that will help other people as well, because sometimes it just takes one small action to have a ripple effect and get you making all sorts of really good positive changes. My sister is really good at reusing bottles for vases. Sometimes she covers them, sometimes she paints them, sometimes she just gets all the labels off and just uses them in a row. And I noticed that one of our beautiful local florists was actually selling the old kind of old-fashioned glass milk bottles recently with a pretty bow round them and single stem of flower in them. So, you know, if they can do that, you can do that too. So, yeah, have a look at what you can do, because it will lead on to other things. If you are collecting jars, glass jars, because we all have jam jars and pickle jars and chutney jars and all of those things, then perhaps you might think about using this time to make your own chutneys and pickles and jams. It's really not difficult. It's time consuming, but actually in a good way. It's a very mindful thing to do. It's not complex, but you do have to pay attention so things don't burn. There are some great recipes out there, and I'm willing to bet that somebody in your family will probably have a really good recipe available. So maybe ask other members of your family, your mum, your aunts, your grannies, any of those generation for their recipes. Or you can get some really good books or just one-off recipes online. And they make fantastic Christmas presents. So it's kind of a win-win. And you also haven't got all the preservatives and things that are in the shop-bought ones. So, yeah, just see where it leads you, because it actually leads onto all sorts of things. Less trips to the recycling centre for a start. Yeah, so I think that's possibly it for this week. So it's about kind of refocusing your consciousness in terms of your consumer habits around single-use plastic and just seeing how far that gets you. But for this week, if you could just make one change and share it with me, that would be fabulous. So enjoy your week and enjoy your efforts to become more consciously aware of your habits, because that's all they are. Everything we do on a daily basis is just a habit, and it's something that we have decided or chosen to do and allowed our subconscious to do it for us without thinking. And of course that can be good, as I always say, sometimes. But sometimes it can be equally valuable to actually shift it into our conscious mind and have a good look at it and see, can we do it better? And therefore, can we feel better? I hope that makes sense. And let me know if it doesn't, or if it does, I'd love to hear from you. And as ever, if you want to know more about working with me, then do click on the link to my website, which is in the post with this video. Enjoy your Bank Holiday Monday, and I'll see you next week at 10 o'clock. Okay, thanks for watching.